Hello. Hey, y'all. So, we're going to be talking. We're just going to do a little chit chat today because guess what? It's launch day, and we have officially launched the brand new podcast. And now I want to just tell the world. So, we're just going to do that. And I'm going to maybe do this Facebook and maybe even do I don't know, maybe I'll do a Instagram live too. Maybe I should do that at the same time. Oh, but I hope someone gets up here and joins me because it's going to be pretty boring with me talking by myself. So it'll just be me rambling on and on and on, which is cool too, but I need some friends. Which is probably why I'm going to get on Instagram too and see if any of my friends are going to be there. Okay, let's see. So, in case you guys haven't noticed, podcast day is today, and I launched 3 episodes today, and I'm just posting this in the BrandNewb Academy as well so that they can follow along. Make sure it's coming from me. Yes. Perfect. Okay. So just to let you guys know a little bit. So I launched the podcast today, and I think it's going pretty well. Like, I'm so happy about it. The podcast is called the BrandNewb Podcast. So BrandNewb, BrandNewb podcast. And it's super cool. I love it. It's all about social media, marketing and brand strategy for your business. And let's go ahead and get on Instagram live as well. Let's see. Podcast day. Let's chat. Something a little bit. Okay, 1 second, y'all. I just want to pin my comment. Okay, so yeah. So in case you guys haven't heard yet, I launched my podcast today, and I'm so happy about it. Let me know if you guys can hear the audio and stuff. Okay, but I want to talk about the episodes. I launched 3 of them today, and I kind of want to walk you guys through it. You're not going to hear everything about it because you're going to really like the podcast ones, and so I wanted them to be really, really cool and really, really interesting so that you guys will kind of want to listen to it. And so I wasn't really like stuffy or really stuffed up. I just talked, and hopefully you guys like it. So like the first one that I talked about was how to create content when no one knows that you exist. And that's the funny part because everyone is afraid to put content up. Everyone is afraid to just start. But they have all the things that they need to like make it popular and make it succeed. They just don't know how to use it, or they don't know, like, I don't know, maybe where to start. And so with that, I made this little list, right? And you guys can see these lists inside the show notes as well, or you can even just listen to the podcast. And so the first thing that I talk about is just staying true to your ideal customer. Like, I talk about that stuff all the time. And the fact that I talked about it on the podcast should not be a surprise. And I feel like this is a little bit loud, so I'm going to back that up. And so the fact that I talk about that on the podcast is not a surprise. Like, I talk about, what is your customer's problem? What do they search for online? What information do they need from you? Like, what problem are you solving for them? Just like the simple stuff. And that's going to help you make an actual persona. Everyone needs a persona. Everyone has a demographic. People like to call that a demographic. And everyone likes to call that a little like demographic, but like it's your persona, and that's what you use whenever you are talking to anybody. Anyone that does a consult with me, I'm like, we're going to break down who your persona is, or like who your ideal customer is, so that we're not just talking to anyone, right? And so that's kind of what I do. And so The other thing that I tell people to not focus on is the imposter syndrome thing, right? So everyone has imposter syndrome of some extent. Like even I have it. Like I am like a crazy person where I will have a speaking engagement and just be like, oh my gosh, no one, like I don't know what I'm talking about. Like I'm not worthy of attention. I'm not worthy to know anything. But like the thing is, you know what you're talking about, and you just have to be confident in it. And that's kind of what everyone has to realize, that they are, imposter syndrome is in everyone, but it's also up to you to overcome it. Like, because no one is going to do that for you. And so I'll talk about that, how if you just stick to your ideal customer, you're going to be just fine. And I also tell everyone to just stick to the basics. So it's going to be the first and probably only time that I tell anyone to be #basic. Like I want you to be so basic. I want you to just answer their questions, and that's it. You don't have to romanticize anything. Give them what they want whenever they are first talking to you. Like if you think about this, if I do social media and you're like, oh yeah, I need social media help, right? And I start talking to you about like all this big theory stuff, and you're gonna be like, that's not what I need. I need to know how to get more eyeballs on my content. And then like that's what matters the most to them. So that's going to be when you want to be as basic as possible so that you can get people's attention. That's what you want. If you start with this whole big concept thing, no one's going to care because they don't know that they need that yet. And so it's the same concept for just anyone, really. So be as basic as possible. And then I think the second to the last thing that I talk about is be as giving with your content as possible. There are no industry secrets. Everyone knows everything. They just don't know it. It's in a blog somewhere. All they have to do is search Google. Like it's not a big deal. So, and most of the time, no one's really going to do it, right? No one's going to do what you're telling them to do because they want you to do it. This is just giving them the opportunity to learn that you know exactly what they're doing, and any money that they invest in you is well worth it. And so that's kind of what you want to get. That's kind of the idea that you want to understand. So when you don't know what content to make because no one knows that you exist upon the internet at all, just start with the basics. Start with what people are searching for. Start with what your ideal customer is looking for, and then you'll be just fine. And then after you create that content, you should be sharing it like crazy. Like you should be doing things like how I'm doing. Like in the podcast, this is my first launch of a podcast in general. And so what am I doing? I'm telling everyone about it. I did a nice little like Instagram post. I did an Instagram story. I did a little Instagram live that I'm doing right now. I'm doing a Facebook live. I spread it to my email list. And so you want as many eyeballs on that as possible, because no one knows that you're on this new medium if you are not willing to share it. A lot of times we go through all this work to, hey Dan, we do all this work to launch something, but then we don't follow through. Follow through is promotion. It's the hardest part because you have to actually like plan the post. You have to make the time to do it, but it's the most essential thing. You could really kind of half do your podcast or like your blog post or whatever, but if you promote it really well, you're going to get eyeballs on it. And that's just like what the true tea is. Okay. So, and that's it for the first one. And so the second one was how to make your marketing budget work. And that one I love. I'm going to just pull up the show notes right now because I want to show you guys. If you guys don't have the show notes, they're on my website, jamardix.com/podcast. And that one's really good because every time that I meet someone, I ask them, hey, so what's your budget? I want to make sure that like we're making it work for each other. And they're like, I don't know. Like, what are you thinking? And so then I end up like kind of just telling them what it is. And then they're like, oh, I don't really know if that's a deal or you're cheating me or whatever. And one, I don't cheat I don't cheat anyone, but at the same time, they should know what a budget is for their own business, right? And so I want to make sure that you guys are aware of even if you don't know what your budget is, like you should be able to have like you should have some kind of like figure in your head, and then you should know how to work it to your advantage, right? And so not everyone has like a budget of like $1 million, but you should know what you want to spend and how you can kind of make that dollar stretch. And so the first thing that I put in the podcast was that you want to be as realistic as possible. So $100 a month for a marketing budget is not a budget. That is just I don't know what that is. It's not a budget. And so what you want to talk about is so what you want to do is like the textbook version of like a marketing budget is like what, like spending like 7 to 15% of what your annual income is. And that can vary depending on like, what your industry is or how much money you really make and like how much overhead you have. It all really just depends on what it is. No one can tell you. It's like what you're comfortable with doing, but 7 to 15 may be that figure for you, right? And so and then when you have that, think about how much money you're spending on those other things that probably aren't making you any money anyway. So like I think I talked about on business cards in the podcast. Like if you're spending like $200 upon business cards, and you are literally spending more time doing that, or someone's trying to sell you something that will probably make you money, will probably make you like $300, but you're spending $200 up on business cards or things that don't really matter, like that traditional marketing stuff. It's not really going to be it's not benefiting you at all. So make sure that you're allocating your funds appropriately. And so let's see, what else am I doing? I think I said, also being organized. So when you have no budget at all, you probably can't afford anyone to help you be organized yourself, right? And so you have to be organized. I use Trello and Evernote for everything. And I mentioned those in the podcast as well. And my other favorite thing that I mentioned was collaborating and becoming an affiliate. That's like the best thing that you could ever do for yourself. Like there are so many creative people, or there's so many people that you can work with or collaborate with that that allows you to benefit from each other, right? And so one example that I talked about was if you have a graphic designer, or if you are doing something for someone and they are doing it for you, and you guys are like bartering, a really good way for you to probably even get a bigger discount or a bigger like product for free is if you are becoming their affiliate. So if you are just referring them to people over and over and over, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, you're giving me so many customers and I'm making so much money. Like I'm willing to give you something else for free, because I know that you are really, really working for me, and I'm just doing this one task for you. And so they're going to want to compensate you in some kind of way. They're going to want to give you something because you are just talking great things about them behind their backs. And so another thing that Laura loves Trello. Yes, Laura, I am all about the Trello. I also suggest in the podcast to create your own free toolkit. And what that means is that you can't afford everything if you have a small budget. And I understand that, but what you should do is become aware of those things that are free. Like if you have a MacBook, iMovie is free if you need help with video, and you should be using video. But if you don't have like a video crew, or if you can't afford video editing skills, then you should definitely consider something like iMovie, or apps like InShot, or some kind of like video editor tool, so that you don't have to really pay for an editor. Same thing for graphic design. You can use something like Canva or PicMonkey. Those are free tools that you can use to make pretty good graphics for social media. And also, with that being said, tools are great, and sometimes it's like what you see is what you get, and what you pay, and you get what you pay for. That's the one that I meant to say. What you get is what you pay for. So if something is free, you're probably going to spend a lot more time using it and learning it and trying to make this thing perfect. So I also mentioned that I want you to reclaim your time. And so reclaiming your time means like think about time is money, and if you're spending way more time doing something, you're not making money. And so figure out what that sweet spot is on, like, if you find yourself spending too much time on one thing, when you could probably pay someone and save so much time and make money at the same time, you may want to think about that. Because I am such a big, I believe in not doing the things that you suck at, and adding someone, adding someone to your team that can like be that champion for you. Because when you invest in them, then they are going to want to do more things for you, and you're going to look better, right? And so, but if you were to, like, I can't design, I cannot do videos like by myself. I cannot edit videos at all. So I hire someone for that. And I can do iMovie, yeah, sure, but it will take me like maybe like 3 or 4 hours to do one video inside iMovie. Do I want to spend 3 or 4 hours in iMovie, or do I want to spend maybe 3 hours making email list campaigns and making Facebook posts and like planning for my next video? So think about what that means to you. So yeah, you guys, the last one that I talked about on the podcast was being your own boss. And I love that one. I kind of want you guys to listen to that one. So I'm probably not gonna talk about that too much, but some of the things that I talk about, I'm gonna do a little highlight. So I talk about everyone would have their own opinion. So it's okay for you to just ignore them, right? Fight imposter syndrome when you are like being your own boss. I will always talk about imposter syndrome because there's going to be some time where you are going to question yourself, and that's okay, but just know that you can overcome it. And you should build your tribe. You can't do it by yourself. You have to have someone there, even if it's just one person in your corner cheering you on, helping you and supporting you along the way. And you're going to make mistakes. It's going to be totally fine. You're going to make a lot more. I made a ton of them in my time. In the past 4 years, I've made a lot of mistakes when I had my own business. And so you're going to make a lot of mistakes. I have some pretty cool stories that may relate to you when you are doing your own business. And so I want you guys to listen in to that podcast episode too. So it's just 3 episodes. It's not a big deal. They're very, very short. I plan to release another one maybe in about a week or 2, along with a few more YouTube videos. And that is enough time that I have. I don't want to take up too much of y'all's time, but I want you guys to definitely take a look at the link in my bio if you're on Instagram, and the links inside the description if you're on Facebook. And check out the podcast, subscribe, leave a review, and I would love to read them in the next podcast. All right, you guys, you have a good one. And yeah, I'm going to sleep now because it's about my bedtime. So I'll see y'all later. Oh, wait, did someone request to... Oh, did I? Oh, I think I'm... Oh, okay, I guess it's too late now. Okay, it's done, y'all. All right, bye.